Welcome back, everyone. And shout out to all the newcomers who this is your first time actually watching one of my videos. So for those who are newcomers, I am Danny. Well, I'm Danielle, right? That's my first name, but some people like to call me Danny. And I make videos on a variety of different topics as it relates to relationships, dating, interracial relationships, cuckolding, which falls under the umbrella of alternative sexual lifestyles, BDSM, race politics, you name it. So I am making this video in response to this very candid discussion that is being had on one of my other video posts. It was a very short clip that I posted several days ago, and it was a cute little girl. She was at this engagement, this event, and she was dancing what seemed to be her mother, right? It was a woman that she was dancing with, and for me, I'm like, okay, she's just doing a little baby dance, right? She's bouncing up and down, how the little, toddlers, how they dance, where they do the little squat, bouncing up and down, right? So I think what triggered a lot of people was her father's reaction to this, right? And we think it's her father, right? It was a man that immediately responded, came to the dance floor. He snatched her up by her arm, right? And pulled her away from the dance floor, right? Obviously, he was opposed to what he saw her doing. And a lot of y'all were in an upheaval about what y'all had witnessed in this very short clip, no longer than 15 seconds, probably not even 10 seconds. And, it was a split reaction. So some of y'all were like, okay, what's the big deal? It's just a little baby. She's having fun. She's just doing the cha-cha slide. Like, give her a break, right? But then an overwhelming number of you guys were trying to side with the conservative aspect of things, right? And I thought that was interesting to see, like, how many people actually saw something wrong with what was happening in this video. And I think clearly everyone who responded to that video, whether they were on the side of, oh, she's cute, she's just a little cute baby girl dancing, or whether you were on the side of, oh, hell no, right? This is wrong with Black culture. Clearly, you guys are responding through a certain type of lens in which you are looking at that video through, right? So I think it really depends on your perspective, and your perspective is shaped by your own lens, right? And everyone's lens is shaped by their personal experiences, which sometimes have been tainted. So I get it. I definitely get it. But what was most surprising to me was this one conversation that was started by this gentleman in my comment section, right? Kind of in response to a comment that I made relating to the video. And I was like, I can relate because, of course, I grew up in a two-parent household with my mother and my father. And I remember, and I've said this before, like I remember growing up, my mother, she was a more strict parent. My dad, he was a little bit more lenient, but he still set boundaries. So my dad, he was a father, he was a dad, right? Like I wouldn't say he didn't play the radio, but it was almost like an unspoken set rule and understanding that me as a little young girl had with my father. Like I knew what line to cross, what line not to cross. And so I made a comment to say that I can relate to that video in a sense where I also grew with a father who definitely cared about me. He did things to protect me, right? He acted out of his own heart, his caring heart as a nurturing, protective father. And I shared some examples, right, of some things that he just did not allow. One of which was me getting my ears pierced when I was a little girl. So I didn't get my ears pierced until I had reached like teenage age. Whereas most young girls, they get their ears pierced, by their like first birthday, right? You see the little babies with the little stud earrings, but I didn't experience that as a little baby girl. On top of that, he also did not allow me to shave the hair on my legs and under my arms, my armpits, right? And this is what this video is about because from my comment and me sharing my experience and saying that I can relate to that father and being the daughter in that situation, having a father, I wouldn't say he was overprotective necessarily, but he definitely was protective, and he definitely set standards and rules for how to govern myself, and how he raised me, growing up. And I remember I actually began to like around the age of 10, 11 years old. And I remember I started to grow hair like underneath my arms, right? And this is not anything unusual, I can pose a question now for those who are watching. What is the age in which you started to actually grow pubic hair? Also, hair under your arms, and we all have hair on our legs, right? When we're born, we have hair really all over our body, but it becomes like more thickened, as we begin to age, and especially as we reach the age of puberty. And so for me, it was around the age of 10, 11 where I started to notice like hair under my armpits, and I was like shocked. I was alarmed, and I immediately like asked my father, who really was the only person in our household at the time, because it was me, it was my older sister, my mother, and my father, and no one used razors except for my father. And so I asked him, I was like, Dad, I need to use your razor, because he was like, why? And I'm like, explaining to him, like, I want to shave. He was like, shave what? I'm like, the hair under my arms, and on my legs. And he was like, you don't have to worry about that right now. Right. And so, of course, I shared this childhood experience like on my post in response to that video with the little girl dancing. I made that comment. And then from there, this guy who appears to be a black man, he kind of initiated this conversation, juxtaposed my comment, right, to say that he doesn't quite he understands the piercings, my dad being opposed to me getting my ears pierced as a young girl because it's like altering my body, but he doesn't quite understand my dad's opposition to me shaving. He says that's like a cleanliness thing, right? And so then I reply and I say cleanliness or aesthetics. And he's like, cleanliness, right? Like it's unclean for people to have pubic hair. And I say, I didn't mention anything about pubic hair, right? Now, pubic hair, in my understanding, is hair that grows around your genital area. Nobody mentioned anything about genitals here, right? In my initial comment, I just simply said I can relate because my father, when I was growing up, did not allow me to get my ears pierced as a little girl, nor did he allow me to shave my underarms and my legs, right? And so the kind of conversation kind of escalated from there. He commented, there was a few other guys who commented, one guy even adding, oh, it's unattractive. No man wants a woman with hair on her body, hairy legs especially. That's unattractive. I just thought it was interesting, right? But then, luckily, and thanks to my beautiful black sisters out there, they came to my defense to say, like, first of all, and of course I came to my own defense first and foremost to say, because I obviously know about hygiene standards and what makes good hygiene and what doesn't. And I know this much to know that hair is actually a protective mechanism, right? It protects, especially women, from bacteria that is forming down there, right? So having genital hair, having hair around her vagina serves a protective purpose, right? And it's actually healthy. It's actually worse to shave than it is, to not shave. And I think for people who are misinformed, right? And people who come up with their own assumptions, right? They are under this assumption that under this belief, right? They have been kind of like disillusioned to believe that what is so-called consistent with what European standard of beauty, or, you know, the traditional standard of beauty, what we know, right? In modern terms, that's how things should be. But it's like it takes for you to think outside the box, to do a little bit more research to understand, like, no, absolutely no. And so I also, in that same comment that I put, right, in response to that video, I said that until this day, clearly I don't wear earrings. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I don't wear earrings, and I do not shave. Not to say that I have never shaved as an adult. Of course I have, but I've made a conscious decision to let go a lot of things, including shaving my underarms, my legs, my pubic hair. I don't even wear deodorant, right? And it was a slight transition, so I didn't just like quit deodorant cold turkey. I kind of transitioned to wearing like the organic deodorant, and then from there I went to wearing no deodorant. And I felt great, but I thought it was interesting, like going back to his comment about it being unclean. It's just like, and his rationale, because he goes to say that, yeah, hair, you know, that's where sweat lives, and crabs can attach to the hair, and, you know, it's just unclean. You need to shave it. And I'm just like, listen, to each his own. But I know he was speaking from his own personal experience. I didn't put him out there like that. I didn't say that, okay, well, you know, this guy obviously had a bad experience with someone sexually where he caught crabs and he had to shave his hair. It makes sense why then he would say that shaving one's hair is a healthier option than not shaving. But no, I'm sticking with my perspective. And it also reminded me, right, because it made me think. And as I began to go down memory lane, it reminded me of this very erotic experience that I had, right? Because, you know, I reflected upon the whole conversation thread, you know, from the comment that I posted, and this conversation that this guy had initiated about, you know, not shaving, you know, is a form of uncleanliness. And this other guy was like, oh, no man wants a woman. I'm just like, I find it so interesting because I get it. People speak from their own personal preferences, right? So it's one thing to talk about preferences. It's another thing to make a whole generalization to try to speak for all men. And I am a woman. So who best can say what a man likes than a woman who has had experience with men in dating, right? So I can speak from my own experience to know what men like. Now, for those who are watching this, yes, I want you all to be so kind to share your experience. Feel free to share your preferences. I don't think I am confident enough to say that most men, I don't even think I would go to say that most men prefer shaved legs, right? Or underarms or vagina. I don't think I could say that because I've lived with both, right? I've dated with both. I've dated where I was in a phase of shaving everything, and this was definitely in my younger years. And then more recent, fast forward, it's just like I've lived many years without shaving. And I never had a problem. This is the thing, I never had a problem attracting a man or anything of that sort, right? So to say, oh, women, what men don't like, and men, you know, don't like this and men don't like that, I think it's just all baloney. But yes, it did make me go down memory lane. I was thinking about the last serious long-term relationship I had where, and that was interesting to say the least, where once we got comfortable with each other to become intimate, right, and he began to disrobe, I was alarmed to see what I saw. Right? Because he was shaven completely down there. Like, he was bald in his genital area. And I'm just like, I was appalled. And then it kind of made me think, like, wait, is he gay? Because from my other previous experiences with men, intimately, I don't think I've ever come across a man that shaved his shit down there. Like, he was just natural. How I like it and how I believe it's supposed to be. But I'm just like, what is this going on here? Like, what's this? And that's something that he did on a regular. He just kept that area clean shaven. And like I said, initially I kind of was like, I was surprised, but then I kind of a bit was turned off because I'm a natural girl. It's like, it should go without saying. Like, I'm a naturalista. I like all things natural. I just like my men just out of the jungle, natural, right? I would prefer that than a modernized man who has been tainted and influenced by Western ideals. But yeah, so that was him. And then for me, I disrobed, of course, and then he saw what I had down there. He saw my bush. I want to say it was like a bush. Like, I think for a lot of people, they think, oh, you're not shaven, so like it's a bunch of hair. No. It was hair down there, yes, and underneath my arms, and I think his reaction to it was so romantic. Like, that's what got me. It was just, I think it drew us closer together intimately. And that's what I want to talk about here in this video. It's just like a very unusual erotic practice that followed from that encounter, right? So he saw that, of course, I was not shaven. And guess what he did? Guess what he did? Yes. So he offered to shave. In fact, he requested, like, he wanted to do this. And I was going to do it. I was like, no, I'll do it. He was like, no, let me. Like, he wanted the honors of shaving me. I had never had this happen to me before. I've tried a number of things. I won't say I tried everything. I've tried a number of different sexual practices, right, or activities, but I had never experienced what it's like to have a man shave off my hair with a razor. And so it happened. I disrobed, I was nude, and he got like a little bowl with water, soap, and everything, right? And I think it was just soap and water. I don't think we used shaving cream. And he had a razor, and he took the honors of shaving me, right? And not just like my pubic hair, but my legs, my underarms. It was just like, I felt like, you talking about romantic ideas, like that to me was one of the most romantic things I have ever experienced by a man, because it's just like, you know how time consuming, right? You know how much dexterity you have to have, and carefulness and gentleness you have to demonstrate as a man who shaves like a woman's hair on her legs and the pubic area under her arms. It's just like, and he did it, like, and I didn't get cut. You know how difficult I think it is? That was another thing. The whole thing about shaving, and sometimes you end up with little razor cuts. It's just, I used to hate that. So I don't miss shaving at all. But he didn't cut me at all because he was just like extra careful. I just had to witness. If only it could have been recorded with a video camera, but it wasn't. And so, yes, that was it. And reflecting back on that whole conversation thread on my post, I find that interesting though. And I think obviously, like I said before, men speak from their own preferences, right? And their own assumptions, sometimes very misinformed. They speak from their egos, right? And it's just almost like, them trying to impose upon me and other women who definitely sided with me in that respect about trying to pose like their own ideals, right, and what they want. And it's just like, that's definitely, especially at this age, that's not going to change me, right? To each their own. If that's what you like and that's what floats your boat, then that's you. But I am not shaving for anybody, right? Now, unless he offers, right, and then he can shave me himself. But I mean, and that has never come up, I think, since then. Like, it wasn't even an issue then. It was just something that he volunteered to do. It was something that he wanted to do, and I trusted him. And it was like a trust-building exercise, too, because you know how much trust and level of submission it takes on my part to allow a man to have a whole razor blade in his hand, right? Something that a person can die from if used the wrong way, or the right way, rather. And I entrusted him, right, to be able to do this with me and to take care of me in that way. So, yeah, very exciting, very titillating experience, to say the least. But yeah, like even from that conversation, I'm about to wrap this video because I have an event that I'm about to head to in Brooklyn. But it's like, even from that experience, I found it very unnerving to see how even some people even went to the extent to be like, oh, well, your dad, you know, like he went wrong. And this, just like, no, first of all, and y'all can let me know, right? And that's probably another question I will pose on my social media to say, like, first of all, at what age do you think it's appropriate for a teenage girl, even preteen, let's say, because I was a pre-teenager at 10, 11 years old. Like, is that even an appropriate thing for a young girl to do, right? To shave. I think that, in fact, my dad, looking back, did the right thing. Of course, you know, at that age when he was telling me, like, no, you're not getting any of my razors to shave, right? And he told me why. He was like, I don't have to be worried about that at that time. Of course, I was upset. I'm just like, I was annoyed, you know, because I was a kind of teenager. I was just the kind of kid that I wanted to get my way in everything. And I got my way in a lot of things, but there were times when my dad definitely had to just step up and set those firm boundaries. But it's just like, looking back, I definitely appreciate my father just for being an upstanding father. And setting that boundary with me, right? And showing me what my value is. Because essentially, that's basically what that video communicated with that father who, you know, seemingly yanked his young daughter, right, off the dance floor. And she probably was no older than 5 years old. She couldn't have been. And it went viral. A lot of y'all just going crazy on that video. And like I say, the perspectives are split. But yeah, it just kind of made me even appreciate, seeing videos like that made me appreciate just my father and my relationship with my father that's still ongoing. My dad is 82 years old as we speak. And, you know, he set that template for me of what a real man is, right? And how things should be in terms of my interpersonal relationships with a man, right? Your father is that example. He's that first man, right, that a young girl meets, right, is her father. And so, yeah, I always reflect. I love my dad. Anybody know me know that I love my dad. My dad, of course, loves me. So that's that. But yeah, y'all better get off my motherfucking father, okay? Some of y'all, and unfortunately, I don't like when I have to do this, but some of y'all had some blocks. I'm just like, hold the fuck up. Who y'all think y'all are? Making comments about my dad, and I feel like it was unjustified, you know, to even go to the point of saying, oh, well, your dad, you know, he was wrong for not allowing you to shave yourself, and that was unclean. And unclean? Like, who is giving a razor to a 10-year-old girl, telling her, okay, yeah, shave your legs, shave your underarms, shave your, like, who is doing that? Unless it's for a special purpose. I get it, right? Like, some people, they may need to do that, right? For certain health reasons, right? If they somehow catch crabs or lice. But that has never been my experience, thankfully, okay? I feel like if you have good hygiene, then you don't have to worry about those things to the point where you have to shave your hair. But yeah, like, who is really doing it? Who is giving Nair to their little girls to say, here, you shouldn't have hair on your body, so get rid of it. Like I think that's a decision that a woman makes when she is of legal age at 18 years old, older. Like, who is doing that before a young girl hits puberty? Some of y'all really have some warped minds. So yeah, I don't like doing this, but unfortunately I had to just block some of y'all. And then it got to the point where I'm like, some of y'all comments, not even relating to this whole conversation thread that I had started, but separate from that, like, y'all were just saying things that I felt like it's not a good reflection of African culture, because some of y'all were going to the extent of saying, oh, well, good dad, but bad culture kind of thing, right? And I'm just like, y'all missing it. I feel like y'all, not only that, y'all are projecting your negative stereotypes that you have embedded within you relating to the African race, African Americans, Black people, so you use this as a point, right, a springboard to vent your own negative stuff that you have within inside of you, right? And my platform is not going to be that space. So then I had to limit and restrict who can comment on my posts, because we're not doing that over here. We're not doing that over here, right? Especially knowing that my platform, Danny's World, right, is a space where I promote and uplift African people. Positive reflections and images of African American, Black people. So to think that I'm going to allow you that opportunity to taint my space is not happening. But having said that, thank you all for watching, and I am about to wrap this video up. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm about to head to Brooklyn, and I might take y'all with me. Let's see. Hello, Mustang. How are you? I see that you are watching, but I do have to wrap this video up. Thanks again for watching. Oh, share in the comments below. What do y'all think? For men who are watching, hair or no hair? Let's do a survey. Hair or no hair? And I might come back and do a separate video specifically targeted towards that topic discussion. What is your preference? For me, it doesn't matter, right, necessarily what your preference is, because I have no interest in anybody on my platform, right? For me, this is business, if anything. But this is just for conversation's sake. So yeah, it's not going to change, it's not going to change what I do between my legs or under my arms, right? It's just not. Or on my legs. It's just, I love my hair, right? And anybody who loves me will love it as well. I'll catch y'all later. Y'all always trip me out, though, I swear.